Hello, I'm Jim McLean.
And I'm Adam Neeson.
This episode is brought to you by Police Academy 5.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Not even supposed to be here today.
I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'll be back.
I'll have what she's had.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Here's looking at you, kid.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello. So welcome back to a brand new episode of the NI Scene as we look through what's happening across Northern Ireland, as always. And if you didn't guess from the little preamble, I'm joined once again by my lovely co-host, Adam Neeson. And in case you're wondering, I'm Jim McLean. Adam, how are you?
Citizens on Patrol. Is that 5?
Yeah, I decided, I reached out to Steve Guttenberg, and he said he personally couldn't sponsor us, but each of the individual Police Academy movies can.
You're telling me that Steve Guttenberg wasn't busy? Did he have to stop his shift in McDonald's to tell you that?
He came off shift, and he said he was working on a script for High Spirits 2.
Oh, God. Police Academy 5 is assignment Miami Beach. I don't want any of the Police Academy heads out there coming after us.
You know, those keyboard warriors.
Here, Michael Winslow coming to Belfast in a few weeks.
It is, less than a couple of weeks. I've met him before. I actually paid good money at him many years ago to go see Michael Winslow at the Grand Opera House.
Here, was he signed?
He was lovely, and his comedy show is just exactly. If you want to hear an hour and a half of someone just doing sound effects, that's exactly what you want. Like, every joke had to start with a door opening. And I vaguely remember he did a skit on an airplane. That's all I remember. And then he finished with his tribute to Louis Armstrong, and he did "What a Wonderful World."
Which is, as Giles were shaking like nobody's business.
Oh, he was in tears. The whole house was in tears. And Amber was like, we were walking out, my lovely wife, and she said, "How much did you pay for those tickets?"
Was that your man from Spaceballs?
Money well spent. I don't remember him doing all them sound effects in Beverly Hills Cop. I'm like, different. Let's not get into that, Amber. Let's not get into that. But, you excited about the con? I know we've had a couple of guests pull out already, but I guess Christopher Lloyd and Christopher Lambert, there can only be one Christopher.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't get excited for this anymore because so many times I've been burnt being like, I'm going to go see this person, only for that person.
When was the last time you were burnt, Adam?
Last year, I wanted to meet Ming Na Wen. The fella that runs a Chinese around the corner. No. Agent May and
he does a fabulous chop suey. Chow mein.
Only chili chicken to die for. No, your woman from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Mandalorian and Mulan. But I was like, sure, I want to go tell her how much I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because nobody ever does. And then she was like, I see Belfast get wrecked, boy.
And then it's only because we didn't really prep to talk about the con. Wasn't there last year, there was the whole bit of, like, it went like across the globe. There was a talk about, wasn't it the actress from The Boys?
Yes.
Got approached by someone who made a few inappropriate comments dressed as Homelander.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of teddy milk.
Yes.
Situation,
which she did not find appropriate, and perfectly right to not find that appropriate. And it was just a sense of like, oh, Belfast, technically Lisburn, but Belfast.
It's like, I'm sure it's cute in the show, but whenever you have some boy from Dungannon coming up being like, I can do whatever the fuck I want, hey, it's not
give her a wee skirt of them daddies. Here, I've got a wee black coffee here. Give us a wee skirt.
Speaking of ditties, just a quick tangent. I was on Instagram there, and do you remember? Is it what do you call her? Kaylee Hazel.
I know the name, and I'm worried that should I know the name?
It was a famous page 3 model from back in the day.
I wondered why I should know that.
Yeah. But she has a new book out called Everyone's Seen My Tits.
I haven't.
Well,
I feel I should go meet her and say, look, this is not true. Just get them out right now. Actually, talking of ditties, I have to laugh at the internet that they've been very slow to a certain show. Have you seen how the internet has just been awash with Jamie Lee Curtis? I know we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in the top 10, but have you seen this, how the internet is thirsting over Jamie Lee Curtis right now?
well, clearly none of them have watched Trading Places.
Hey mate, that's the only reason I watch Trading Places.
But I hear, whoa.
Wait, like we talked about Pamela a couple of weeks ago, and I said to him, because I know you have hosted, because I was in Edinburgh, more on that later. You hosted the latest show on NVTV. Good job, little buddy.
Thank you,
Good
man.
job with the lovely Maria McQuillan and Joe McElroy. You were talking about Nobody 2, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. Sense and Sensibility, and the Jaws documentary, which is on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun to watch. It's available on NVTV's YouTube channel. We don't post it on our page anymore, but yeah, you can find it there, but you can find a direct link on our website. And Adam, I'm going to apologise to you and to other members of the team. I've been a bit slack of the last couple of weeks. As we record right now, Adam, there's a social media post going out that says, hey, watch this show.
Whoa. Wait, advertising?
Advertising, promotion, and hey, even more importantly, in 2 hours' time, by the time we finish this podcast, there'll be a social media post saying that we have a quiz.
Bollocks.
On the 29th of August at the Sunflower, which is a fundraiser for our film festival, which you'll find out more about in the coming weeks. But yeah, I apologise wholeheartedly to yourself and to the team. I've been a little bit preoccupied with other things, and I am a poor man's dictator, Adam. Try saying that carefully, because I don't delegate. I control. They will do it wrong. They will say there and spell it the wrong way. But no, yes, getting better at that. But yes, fab job in the host. I forget where I got lost. Jamie Lee Curtis's ditties. Yes, that's where we were.
That's right, we get lost as well.
That's where we were going. And yeah, I was just on Facebook and just was going, it's like, there's a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis here. And it's like, oh, and I've got a little post. You might not be able to see it from where we are. But where is it? News. Jamie Lee Curtis. Thanks everyone for appreciating her boobs. So yeah.
Here, well, if Christopher Guest, he's a busy man promoting Spinal Tap 2.
Are you excited for that?
Yes, I think the trailer won me over in a sense that it wasn't like clearly big set pieces. It was more jokes based in the dialogue, and that's more what it was back in the day. So
that's what Christopher Guest excels at.
Yeah, it's with QFT doing their Christopher Guest season, it sort of warmed me up for the idea of Spinal Tap 2, and also they're showing the 4K resolution of Spinal Tap 1. Don't think I'll get to it, but if you listen to this before it shows, go see that, because I think this is Spinal Tap is underappreciated in this era of comedy.
Yeah, totally. I would agree. It's kind of a film. It was kind of for a little while. It was like one of everyone always talked about it being the comedy movie you've got to go see. Then it's kind of left the zeitgeist. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm tempted to go to the QFT to see it on the big screen, or I might be lazy and just pick up the 4K re-release and watch it at home. But I've never seen. Have you ever seen This Is Spinal Tap in the cinema before?
No, I've only ever seen it on BBC Two late at night, where I watch all my favourite films.
Because I'm just worried. The only thing I'm worried is I think it would be nice to watch it with a crowd, but it's that sense of a film like that. I think other than Airplane, I don't think I've seen a cult comedy on re-release. I remember the QFT. I know they've brought their QFT late season. They used to do Jameson Presents. I don't know if you remember those back in the day. They did like a Nightmare on Elm Street one. They did they did an airplane one as well. It was like a Jameson themed cocktail, and then everything was kind of decked out. Then they had like the QFT staff as airplane stewardess. I think it was Ralph McLean, I think, introduced the movie. But the only thing I found about that was that it was people were ahead of the joke. So, and it was like, oh, just watch it. Or there was, I guess, more in horror movies, you get a lot of ironic laughing, and I was like, would you just fuck up? Just fuck up and just watch the movie. If it's funny, it's funny. But anyway, that's me being old, grumpy Jim. But yes, I am tempted, very much tempted to go see that at the QFT. I think it is getting a wider re-release, a cinematic re-release, so it might possibly be at your local multiplex as well. But Adam, I know we're going to move on and talk about movies, but just before that, we're talking about the internet thirsting over Jamie Lee Curtis's ample cleavage. Or Jamie Lee. But have you also foul yet of the current internet trend that it's only August, but yet you have to start buying Halloween stuff? I have. Have you started purchasing? Let me see it's like a little kind of unboxing little bit for. Hang on. Shh.
Oh, I'm gonna love this.
It's a little. Oh, it's death, but he's got a little puppy skeleton. Oh, he's
Okay.
Yeah. I've got a few more, but I've got one of a ghost giving you the finger.
Oh.
But it's too big and bulky to get out of the box. So have you? Yep. Now is that from Heidi, Shop Heidi, or is that purchased?
That's from our Heidi. But Jim,
Did she give you a discount or charge you double?
$9,000. Weird. I'm a spooky boy 24/7, 365 days a year. So
what happens when it's a leap year?
I take a day off and I watch a rom-com. So Halloween for me is yearly. So people being like, "It's August, you put the Halloween stuff up?" Man, my horror Funko Pops up. Watching a horror, watching The Mutilator or Piranha 2 in bed every night. So these people need to shut the fuck up. If you're putting Christmas stuff up in August, different, unless Christmas is a way of life, like Mick Foley.
Yeah, nice. I like what you did there. I have seen on the old Ticker Talker the first little post about Christmas, and you're like, nah, fuck up. Let's get Halloween over and done with. So yes, we have got our suitable preamble over and done with. Adam, I think we'll move on and do our first review. First up is Life of Chuck. You have seen this. I have not watched it yet. I was sent a screener and watched about the first 20 minutes, about 15 minutes. And then I actually decided after watching it, it's like, I don't want to watch this at home. I want to watch it in the cinema. So actually this evening as we record, I'm going to be going watching it with my lovely wife upon your advice for various reasons we'll not get into. So you've seen this. I think we'll play a clip and then we'll hear your review.
What's in there between my hands?
My brain.
No, that's not exactly what I mean. What's in there? Right between my hands right now.
I don't know.
All the people you know?
I guess.
Just the people you know? Everything you see. Everything you know. The world, Chuck. Planes in the sky, manhole covers in the street. Every year that you live, that world inside your head will get bigger and brighter and more detailed and complex. You will build cities and countries and continents, and you will fill them with people and faces, real and imagined. You understand? Don't stop there. You fill the whole thing with everyone you ever meet, everyone you ever know, everyone you ever just imagine. It'll be a universe. A whole universe right between my hands. You contain multitudes.
So that's a little bit of the trailer for Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck. Tom Hiddleston, probably Jacob Tremblay, probably the most notable stars in this, although it is an impressive ensemble from what I've seen. So Adam, give us a bit of setup and then share your thoughts.
So you have Chuck played by Tom Hiddleston, and it's about his life. No, it's a story told in reverse, sort of, where you sort of learn Chuck's influence on the world and what he learned from the love of his mother, from the love of his father, and how he applied that to everything in his life to influence other people to be better in life. With this being a Stephen King short story, it is sort of, it's more in line with Shawshank and Stand By Me than it would be It. It's very uplifting, very emotional, some really good performances. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, hubba hubba. Mark Hamill is very good. It's a very sweet performance that he gives. Tom Hiddleston's part, even though it's sold on him, he is in it the least compared to everybody else. Jacob Tremblay is maybe in it for about 4 minutes. But the kid who plays Chuck, let me just pull his name up here. IMDb break. Benjamin Pajak is fantastic. I think his part is maybe some of the more emotional stuff, and he does a really good job. It sort of reminds me of The Fabelmans, sort of get that sort of feeling. And it's just a really good, uplifting movie. If you love Mike Flanagan, Midnight Mass is probably one of the best things ever made. But this is definitely a departure from his horror stuff. Like I say, this is Stephen King, and he is the master of adapting Stephen King stuff. And here he has really taken all of the lessons he's learned from his TV shows and movies and all of the drama segments, all of his famous monologues, and applied it to this. And it's a really fantastic movie. Like, I give it 5 stars. It's probably not worth 5 stars. I would say 4 realistically, but I give it 5 because I came out of it just bawling my eyes out. There's some incredible performances. There's a performance by Matthew Lillard that is award worthy. Probably won't get nominated, but you'll see when you see it. It's one of those ones you're like, fuck, if he can perform like that, I'd love to see him in a larger role. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's probably going to leave the cinema quite soon because, the advertising is Stephen King and people are like, oh, where's the fucking clown? But it is a very...
Was that you when you watched this in Toronto?
Yeah, I was sitting at the back being like, when does he start floating?
You were dressed as Pennywise?
But yeah, it's a really good movie, and I think it's definitely worth checking it in the cinema. And I could see a lot of people be like, not much happens. But that's just, it's a story about a man's life. It's a character piece, and if you're not on board with Chuck, or maybe if you're a little bit too young and not in touch with your emotional side, you might not get as much out of it as other people. But I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, I'm intrigued to see it. As I said, I watched about 15 minutes on the screen here because I knew we were going to be talking about it because it's out this week. It's not in the top 10 just yet. And I got about 15 minutes, and the score sounds stupendous. And I think I might get this right. Is it the Newton brothers who have worked with Mike Flanagan before? And they're, again, very horror orientated. But it's like, oh, it looks like a type of film. I'm judging this on 15 minutes. That's what I saw. In that sense, it reminded me a little bit of something like I always get the film's title wrong. The Secret Life or The Life of Walter Mitty, the Ben Stiller film, that kind of feature, that person's basically focusing on one story and how the world reacts around them. And I'm probably very wrong in that 15-minute assumption, but I'm looking forward to watching it. You've sold it to me, but I want to come back on something you mentioned. What do you think it is about Mike Flanagan? Because I would agree with you. I mean, of the Stephen King adaptations we have had, I guess most of those, if not all of them so far with Mike Flanagan, have been horror. What is it about his adaptations, other than the fact that he's a bloody good director? I nearly cursed, but I didn't. We only allow ourselves so many curse words through pod. But what do you think about him that gets to the heart of King?
I think that he shares something with King, that they both understand the human touch, whereas other adaptations are more concerned about the scares. I think Andy Muschietti's first It movie gets it right with the kids, and King writes an understandable and relatable human character in everything he does, no matter what it is. Even Cujo, you're like, I understand why Cujo's doing this. It has an underlying of darkness in all of his characters, which I think Mike Flanagan can sort of touch on, but it also, like I say, in an emotional side, Flanagan's just a master of that, and he has his staple of actors that he reuses every time. The only person missing from Life of Chuck is Henry Thomas. And I think trusting his actors, they're all really good actors. It's not as if he's like, I keep using Ryan Reynolds because I really like him. He trusts actors. I hope Chiwetel Ejiofor comes back for more because he's fantastic in this. But like Karen Gillan, Katie Siegel, now Mark Hamill, just trustworthy actors that are able to all sort of understand the source material and not play it for the scares.
Because I'm sure there's a few. I know looking at his IMDb previously, before we started to record, so it's not an IMDb break, but I think, he's working on Carrie, isn't he, as well? A latest adaptation of that. I'm intrigued by that, and I think that's going to be a series as opposed to a movie. And without having it in front of me, apologies as my voice seems to go very weird, I'm pretty certain on those lists of upcoming projects there's a few King. I know there's Carrie, but I think there's a few. So clearly they are two. It's only because I've been listening to Mark Kermode talking about The Exorcist. When I was away at Edinburgh, I picked up an audiobook. I picked up his BFI classics, whatever you call, retrospective series, where he looks at The Exorcist in depth, and it's about kind of that process with directors and writers. And yeah, sounds like a match made in heaven here. So I'm going to be seeing that, so I'll be talking about that on next week's show. Hopefully I have as good of a viewing experience as you. And on that note, let's move on to this week's top 10. Okay, so the UK box office top 10, we'll start actually weirdly at 15, because we have the Smurfs. It's dropping out, Adam. You're not supporting the Smurfs.
Oh,
You're
no.
Not, after 6 weeks, it only took less than about 100,000 in the previous week. F1, you're going to have, I think it's now available at home on PVOD. You'll be able to seek that out, as is Jurassic World. Superman, I think, is also going to be soon out in PVOD. So those are all films that are dropping out off the top 10. So if we start as we intended, the box office top 10, we have Nobody 2. I still haven't seen this. As we mentioned earlier, both yourself, Joe, and Maria shared your thoughts on Nobody 2. If I recall, you were not a big fan of the first film, or you didn't dislike it, but I don't think you were a massive fan of Nobody. Maybe I'm wrong, but what do you think of this?
It's more of the same. It's sort of, I said on the show, I'm getting sort of sick of pick an older actor and then everybody's surprised that they can kick ass. It's just like John Wick's influence on action over the last 10 years. While still, incredible stuff and incredible stunts, you're just seeing the same thing over and over again. And I just want something new. I want, like back in the day, the like Asian market to bring something new to the fight choreography world. It just seems that like we're stuck in the Raid John Wick world where everything is that.
Adam, what about older women like Jamie Lee Curtis kicking ass?
Where she swings her titties. people.
I didn't want to admit that, but that's exactly what I thought. That's her in kind of Mortal Kombat world. That would be her finishing move.
Here,
Death by
it'd be my
Death by
finishing
Diddy.
move.
Yeah, Death by Diddy. And not P. Diddy. Number 9, we have War 2, Indian Hindi film, 2 weeks in the box office. So yeah, I just get intrigued by this and the fact we live in the world of the big blockbuster now. And it's clearly showing that there's an audience there across the UK and Ireland for these films, because they are constantly now in the top 10. And there's another one which I was surprised at, but I will move on because neither of us have seen it. We will at some point go and see a Bollywood, indie, Hindu. Well, we will go see at some point, we promise. Number 8, we have both seen this after 2 weeks, 500,000 last week together. Alison Brie, Dave Franco in the rom-com of rom-coms. They just want to be together, Adam. I saw this, really liked it. For me, it just felt like an indie version, indie cinema version, slightly kind of more rom-com-esque version of Society. Film I love. Everyone loves a good shunt in Society. But I thought it was good. You know, love is a bit icky. Love is a bit kind of cringy. And, you know, an idea of two separate people becoming one in their couple. As a couple, I thought it was good. Icky body horror. It just seems right now there's a lot of good horror films out, and I'll come back to that with Toxic Avenger in a bit. But you've seen this, I've seen this. I really liked it. What do you think?
I didn't like it. It's fine, you know, but it's just, I don't know if it's because I've seen the trailer in the cinema too many times that it pretty much give beat for beat the whole movie. And I can't hold that against the movie, obviously, because that's just the marketing. But it just sort of, the emotional side of it, where like he doesn't want to be physical in the relationship, and it's just a lot of coincidences that sort of wraps up at the end with it being, I wish it was more an accident of what had happened to them rather than it be, I'm trying not to give away spoilers, rather than it be something that has a backstory to it, is what I'll say.
Yeah, and something that has, again, we're trying to avoid spoilers, where you're seeing, I guess, if this is a right way of saying it, people being manipulated into a scenario of sorts. Because I will not lie, there is a character in this film where I go, well, they're given an awful lot of screen time, so they have to be involved somehow. And I called it. I have to. I didn't see too much of the trailer. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it more. I just thought just a good. It sets out like if you were to describe together, you get it's like a Ron Seal horror movie. You get exactly what you're going to get on the tin, and I think the fact that Dave Franco and Alison Brie are they're a real life couple, you can kind of get chemistry, and you don't have that awkward sensation about when you're watching. Like there's any man watching that film will at a certain point in this film just go, ooh,
Chinese figure trapment. I'll say.
Yes, the moment of Alison Brie's character going, I'm sorry. It's like, oh
dear.
But yeah, I clearly liked it much more than you. Moving on, our next one, a film I know we've both seen, is The Naked Gun. Have you seen it again? Have you had any thoughts since watching it? Snowman's still the best bit.
Yeah, they started to release clips on YouTube, and I showed Heidi the snowman bit, and Heidi says, "Why is that funny?" And I says, "Well, it doesn't matter.
You just don't get comedy."
No, I haven't seen it again. I think I'll wait until it's out on, streaming to watch it again. A comedy, the jokes. Some comedies, the jokes hit. I could watch Dumb and Dumber every day and still laugh, but stuff like Naked Gun, where it is a lot of setup and punchline, I think I'll wait a long time, but I still, with my mind's eye, thinking about it, still really enjoyed it.
Hanging in there, as I say, it's out a month. It's number 7, so you'd probably imagine possibly it might just still be clinging into the top 10 next week. I'm not quite sure. Next film you've seen, but I haven't seen, and that's The Bad Guys 2. You were very excited about this. Tim Burton and his lovely daughter gives a fantastic review. There was a lot of fart jokes that they liked from memory on that. Adam, did you appreciate the fart jokes?
I did. I was having a whale of a time with the fart jokes. I think it's an actual really good sequel. It's different from the first one. There's a lot more, character stuff from the first one. It's just a good time. It's a good kids film. There's a lot of silly stuff. There's a lot of, there's some emotional stuff. It's just I haven't seen a kids movie that I enjoyed this much in a long while. I don't know if the franchise is going to go off to make a third one. But I don't know. I think for DreamWorks not to have any of their heavy hitters like Shrek or anything on the horizon for another 2 years.
Adam, we're going to have to wait to 2027 for Shrek 5. Wipe those tears away. Although, just on you talking about kids' movies, have you watched K-pop Demon Hunters yet?
I watched the first 20 minutes of it because Heidi recommended it because she loved it. Watched the first 20 minutes and I said, turn that shit off.
Not even to the golden song? Did you even get to the golden song where you can't avoid it? As someone who works in a commercial radio station, it's on every kind of couple of hours. It's like a Pink Pony Club. You know it's going to come round. Someone's going to request it. But the kids be going crazy for K-pop Demon Hunters. I literally bumped into the lovely Brian Mulholland and little Corey and his lovely wife, not Corey's wife, Brian's wife, and they were just saying that little Corey's obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters. I watched this last night because we're going to be reviewing it on next week's TV show, and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it's a similar kind of animation to what you kind of see in Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse movies, and you can kind of see that kind of, it's been coming for a while, that kind of Asian influence, that manga influence into kind of the big studio productions. I thought it was fun. Songs were catchy enough. It's a little bit long, but yeah, and I know it's now, it was on Netflix, and I see now it's getting, because of its popularity, unsurprisingly, Adam, it's getting a cinematic release with sing-along versions, so you can maybe go to that with Heidi.
Nice.
No?
It's a whole, the 15 minutes that I watched, it's the reason I don't like Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse is that it's a movie that's made to be gift. And that sort of animation joke styling is just, it's ADHD on screen, and it plays to a certain market that I think is manipulative.
Ooh.
I think so.
There we go. We're all falling for the trap of the man. The man is out to get us. They're moving back to the top 10. Fantastic Four, First Steps. Still haven't seen this. Still will at some point, I promise, go to see Fantastic Four, much like I promised to see Mission Impossible. But by the time I watched Mission Impossible, it was out of the box office top 10. I know it's been re-released, or it's now being released on PVOD, so maybe we will talk about that. But I don't know. It's not getting. It's not that it's not getting love. I think it has got good reviews, but it's not finding the box office numbers that I think Disney and Marvel Studios maybe hoped or expected. And I guess we're at that stage of we talked about this a little bit on the TV show, that kind of comic book movie fatigue. Because I think like Superman, it's grossed to 600 million at the box office. Looks like it might just be the only. I'm going to say, I don't know why I went very high pitched. Might be the only superhero movie this year to maybe gross over 600 million at the box office. And when you think of the numbers that some of the previous Marvel movies did, and I guess you think of Deadpool and Wolverine, it definitely grossed a lot of money. I know you've shared your thoughts on it on a previous pod. Listen back to that, Adam. Well, you don't have to listen to it. Listen back to that, viewers. But you were lukewarm about it from memory. But are you surprised that it's not having the huge box office draw?
I don't think so, because in a way, there's no real rewatchability to it. It's sort of there's no real standout moments. There's no moments that like Endgame had that was like, Cap lifting the hammer, and you're like, holy shit. You have the sort of the thing saying it's clobbering time scene that they tried to put out on social media to be like, he said it. And like, of course he said it. It's his catchphrase. It's like, oh, Spider-Man swung on a web. Fucking well done. But with the box office stuff, Ant-Man and the Wasp made more than Superman. So it's the numbers aren't the indication of quality, obviously. And it is just not superhero fatigue, but more just cinema fatigue. But superheroes definitely are the catalyst for it. It's like we say, like it's hard for us to comprehend because we go to the cinema 2-3 times a week. There's times where people go to the cinema twice a year, so they really have to pick what they want to see, and they'll always sort of see the big blockbuster, and that sort of gives stuff more legs. Whereas like, people seen Fantastic Four and went, yeah, that's fine. But people seen Superman and it had more legs. Obviously, it's sort of went over 600,000, 600 million. Sorry.
James Gunn's going to be coming for you if you're saying it made more than that. Made 600 million.
Yeah, James made. Come on, give me a kiss. But there is, I think people want a reason to go to the cinema, and the superhero movies. Well, I think Superman definitely is a reason to go to the cinema. Fantastic Four isn't. I think that's why you're seeing more horror movies in the top 10, because it's it's a good night out. You're sort of, even if it's a shit horror film, like we have The Conjuring Last Rites coming out in next week or the week after.
Tickets booked.
Yeah, guarantee it's going to be
tickets are booked, Adam, for opening night, and I know I'm going to go, and I'm going to be fucking annoyed by pretty much 80% of the audience going, oh Jesus, or someone waiting to a quiet bit and shouting out boo. I know I'm going to be fucking annoyed because cinema wankers love horror movies. They love horror movies like The Conjuring, and the QFT's not going to show The Conjuring, unfortunately.
No. Although Cineworld, I don't know if other cinemas are, but they're showing the first 3 or the first couple.
Well, there's 3, and then there's kind of The Conjuring kind of 2.5. It's like the Annabelle Comes Home. It's where the Warrens are there at the start, and then they're there at the end. But it's mostly, isn't it Mackenzie Grace? Is that they kind of rechanged the actor? I wonder if Mackenzie Grace will be in The Conjuring 5 then, because they had another actress, a young actor, playing the daughter role, I think, for the first 2 films. I don't think the daughter's in the third one. Because that's the kind of werewolfy one, isn't it? The
daughter is getting married in the new one.
So clearly they've had a jump forward in time.
Can I do my impression of the Annabelle Comes Home trailer?
Yeah.
Right. I know this is a visual medium, so I'll do it for you, but audio-wise, you'll still get it. Right. So, girl comes in, and it's the Annabelle spooky room, and she goes, "What did you touch?" And Mackenzie Grace has her back to the camera, and she goes like this, "Everything." What do you mean you touched everything?
Listeners, I know it's an audio medium, but if you could just picture the deranged eyes of Adam Neeson. Do it again.
I know. What did you touch? Everything.
It's like you're on an audition for RuPaul.
Opulence.
Yes.
I am everything.
Yeah, you've just got those eyes. That's if I see a Belfast drag queen. What did you say? We worked this out before. What was your drag queen name before?
Oh fuck, was it like Sweaty Bollocks or something?
Yeah, Sweaty Bollocks. Sweaty Bollocks is in the next season of RuPaul, and you go, what's up with those eyes? Like, I've seen them eyes before. Right. Moving on. Number 4, we've already talked about this. Freakier Friday. 3 weeks out, 915,000 at the box office, 4 million since its total haul so far. Have you seen Freakier Friday yet?
No.
Don't know why I called it Freakier Friday.
This is Fridayer than any other Friday. I haven't. There has been times where I've been in town and been like, "Oh, come on, we'll go to the cinema," and Freakier Friday has been floated. It's a movie that I think I'm destined to watch on Disney Plus. I've nothing against it. I enjoy the first Freaky Friday. It's good to see Lindsay Lohan back. And I've heard that the other 2 new additions to the cast are pretty funny. It's the girl from Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yeah.
I really enjoy her.
Yeah, I love that film. Are You There, God? I enjoyed Freakier Friday much more than what I thought. I went in with very low expectations. Hamish Calvert, when we had him on the TV show, did hit the nail on the head, where it's literally just plot for plot, essentially what we had in the first one. Like, they do wrap this up in the pretty much a similar guise to Freaky Friday. That said, I enjoyed it because you forget the natural chemistry that Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis have, and you forget, I think I said this in the TV show, I'm not sure if it made the cut, but for all the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is seen as a scream queen of horror cinema, you forget that she's got proper comedy chops. Mm-hmm. I was going to make a rude joke, but I won't.
I've seen them.
We've made a lot about how the internet is thirsting over Jamie Lee Curtis right now, but what it reminded me of was not just Jamie Lee Curtis, but the Lindsay Lohan that we love, the kind of Mean Girls era Lindsay Lohan, because she's kind of been stuck now in these kind of Netflix Christmas movies and a couple of projects where it just feels like it's nice to have her back, but it's like autopilot Lindsay Lohan, and you're like, this, at least there's enough there. The 2 younger actors are good. I just find the fact that it's a body swap, a 4-way body swap this time. It was like, oh, it's when Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan's character are on screen, it's like, oh, it's great, it's funny, and when the 2 younger actors are, it's still funny, but it's like, oh, it's like, kind of what it's like when Bryan Cranston leaves Godzilla, and you're like, what's Bryan back on screen? No, that kind of, it's good fun. It's that kind of film that you can go as a family, I guess. There's definitely stuff for the dads. There's jokes for the mums. It's the idea, because it's a great joke about like Facebook. It's like it's just a list of old people, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's enough jokes, I think, that you could all kind of go and have fun. The next one is the one I'm intrigued by, because this is so coolly, which I think, I'm just going to read it out here. I did take a little IMDb break. So this is an action thriller, and it is another Indian feature, Tamil language. I haven't seen it, but I guess we've been talking about this since we've kind of done this revised version of the pod. Here we have Indian language feature, 2 weeks out, and it's number 3 at the UK box office. And I don't think I've no issue with that, but I'm coming back to that point. I am surprised that we are seeing, in the age of the summer blockbuster that we're currently in, where we've got big budget blockbusters, I'm going to be very kind of sweeping here. I don't think this would just be, how am I going to put this, members of the Indian community here in the UK. I think that possibly you're seeing these films now reach out to a wider audience. Maybe it's just a sign of a weak box office, I don't know, or weak cinema going, but I don't know. We've talked about going to see a Bollywood movie since we revamped the podcast. I don't know, what are your thoughts on the fact that now each week now we're not seeing just one, we're seeing like 2, sometimes 3 of these films in the box office, and particularly this week, we've got one on a week when we have some big releases out there that are now dropping out of the top 10. Well, it's not really a question. Just your thoughts, I guess, Adam, on that.
I think it's, with cinemas having like unlimited passes or whatever, and Netflix sort of opening the world up cinema-wise to, your average viewer. People watch Squid Game over COVID, and sort of a lot of people have adapted to subtitled movies more than I think they would have before that. And I think with like unlimited passes, if you're going to the cinema and you've seen, all the other blockbusters, or, you're like, I don't want to see Superman. I don't want to see Fantastic Four. What else is on? Here's a Bollywood movie. People like to take a risk, and you're getting, bang for your buck. Because the movies are often 3 hours or a big celebration. Lots of community like projects, I know, like, go to these movies. Big groups of people all go celebrate, and it is sort of like, it's not like The Conjuring, where we know it's going to be fucking Desi and his missus who have had 3 Bacardi Breezers before they go in.
Oh, you're fucking, there's an Annabelle, watch it. I kick her in the fucking bollocks.
This is going to be...
Let's in the back seat, give us a Kurt. Here, give us a big lumber, big girl.
Here, maybe there's some lumber going on in the Bollywood movies, we don't know. But I think, people... It's advertised more. If you go to Cineworld, like, they advertise Bollywood movies more, and it's just maybe catching more people's eye than the average sort of, what you're getting movie.
Yeah, even my Omniplex, which is beside us here, which I know I go because it's, other cinemas are available. Sometimes I prefer other cinemas, but Omniplex is just handy for us. They're definitely showing a lot more Bollywood movies, Indian films, foreign language films that I can remember from, which is only good. And it's just more shame on me that I walk past the screen number 4 and good to see that screening, but never bother me arse going. But we are going to go before the end of this year, Adam. You and I will go, and if not, we're just liars. Number 2, I don't think either of us have seen, Materialists, kind of rom-com, Dakota Johnson. Yet another movie with Pedro Pascal and everyone's favourite Chris Evans.
Everyone's favourite. The man.
Well, everyone's favourite Chris Evans. If you had to say Chris Evans, I'm sure there's some lovely Chris Evans out there, but you're not going to be as nice as Chris Evans.
Not the other Chris Evans we know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
From West Belfast.
No, I thought you meant the one that married Billy Piper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was. It was just being flippant.
I haven't seen this yet. I do want to see it. It's only the fact that I loved Past Lives so much.
Yeah.
And the reviews of this are like, it's not scratching that same itch. I'll watch it. Chris Evans to me is a bit of a smell of fart actor.
How dare you? He's a lovely man. He's lovely.
His Captain America is just him going, and it's not
justice.
That's not great. But Pedro,
any of you want to leave the room? What is it he says in Winter Soldier when they're in the lift?
Before we get started, does anybody want to leave?
Yeah. Is that the point? You get up? You just got up and left the cinema?
Like, someone's cheating here. I can smell it too, Chris.
I would say the same. I'm sorry for cutting across you, but there's a couple of films with Chris Evans I love. First and foremost, Scott Pilgrim. He's fab in that. Secondly, I'll throw into the mix, I love him in Knives Out. He's not smell.
I just said okay.
Oh, I thought you were leaning in to go, nope.
Shade.
Knives Out. And then it's not The Wonder, but there's another film he did, and he's like a dad and there's a young kid involved. I remember going to see it at a press screening. It might be The Wonder. I'm not sure, but I don't think it is The Wonder, because The Wonder is Jacob Tremblay, I think.
No, you're thinking of Jacob Tremblay with the fucked up face.
Yeah, that's The Wonder.
That's The Wonder. The other one is it's the Mark Webb movie with Mackenzie Grace.
Yes, which I quite liked.
Which here, Fears, right in and tell us what that is.
Yeah,
We've
and I
used our IMDb book.
also did love him in. I know it's a bit of a spoiler. I did love him in Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh, Jim. Come on now.
So you're not okay. I'm going to big up Chris Evans.
You bring him up, man.
I think he's better than Smell the Fart acting. He's been typecast now, and he's happy to take that paycheck.
Him as wee wig. Although the materialist I'll go see obviously for Mrs. Webb.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And number one at the box office, unsurprisingly, is Weapons. On the last pod we had, because we took a little break last week for various reasons, just couldn't agree when we could get together, because we're still recording via Zoom. Should have said that earlier on. Still some problems at the studio. But I've now seen Weapons. My lovely wife and I went to see it, and I thought it was fab. I do think it's one of those films where it will not spoil, because I was talking to Hamish Calvert about this when we were recording the TV show, and he had it spoiled for him. And he said, once you know that cat's out of the bag, it's like, oh, okay. I do think the mystery is more interesting than the reveal, but it's not really a film. It's not about the mystery. It's about all that tension, creepiness, and the on the kind of edginess. But I think the more I think about it afterwards, and it is one of those horror films, like a good horror film should do, that stays with you and you think about, I do think that the mystery ultimately is the least interesting thing. I guess it's kind of like how a kind of community reacts to this situation. You mentioned this, some of the dream sequences. There's one with Josh Brolin with a huge big gun hanging over a house, which is just amazing. It looks, definitely see it on the big screen, and I had no issue with that kind of Rashomon, kind of seeing the same story. Well, not all the time, but you're seeing different aspects of the story being told from different perspectives. I didn't have an issue with it. When I left the room, or left the cinema, I was left going, yeah, the mystery itself is the least interesting aspect. But I will tell you this, Adam, there is a few sequences, because there's not many jump scares. There was, apologies, they were either American or Canadian. Apologies. Well, I'm assuming American, because they didn't go, was that a booty? At any time they finished, or they didn't like fart and go, that's why I'm assuming they're American. They were sitting behind us in the cinema, and they shot themselves at every so-called jump scare. There's not many in this film, but there is one or two, and there was one element where my lovely wife, literally, because you can kind of tell jump scares, you know when they're going to come. It's like you get the change of tone of the soundtrack, and it's like the dread. There's one sequence where, it's not a spoiler, we have a character, she's leaning out of bed, she hears something, she leans back, and then you go, you know a jump scare is coming, and the couple behind us, the American or possibly Canadian, they shot themselves. And at that point, my lovely wife was like, she looked at me and goes, what happened? It's like, oh, I'll not say, oh, he saw this. She saw this hanging above. She's like, oh, that's okay. I just closed my eyes. That's how she gets through any jump scare movie now, because we're talking about going to see The Conjuring. She's like, yeah, that's fine. As soon as I think there might be a jump scare, she just closes her eyes. She can't get scared.
It can't get her then.
Can't get her scared. I've just pulled my wire out. What have I done?
Oh, Jim's pulling the wire.
Pulled my wire out. Okay. So that's our top 10. Anything else you want to say about Weapons? I kind of rambled. I know you talked about it on the previous pod.
It's one of those movies I can't stop thinking about. I know it's memed now, which is annoying, but the opening sequence with the George Harrison song is phenomenal. And the sequence with both the needles and the forks, and not say anything else, have on a daily basis made me go, oh, because it's so visceral in what happens with those objects that I'm like, it's a bit disgusting. Yeah.
Good film. I just think it's a great time for horror, whether that's just a reaction to the world that we live in right now, particularly with South Park's favourite, Donald Trump, the world that we're living in. It just seems to be lots of kind of really good, interesting horror films that are more than just the ghost train. So yeah, long should it last on like a certain president's tenure. But anyway, okay, let's not get political. I think we shall move on, and I'll talk a little bit about the Edinburgh International Film Festival. Okay, Adam, so yeah, there was no pod last week. You were holding the fort on the TV show, and I was off in Edinburgh. I haven't been for a couple of years for various reasons, and seen a couple of films. And it's a much smaller programme than what I've seen in the past. Edinburgh International Film Festival, it's a festival's always been good to us over the years. They were the first to kind of let us kind of come over as accredited press, first to kind of give us that kind of opportunity. And yeah, it's nice to be back. As I say, the festival a couple of years ago did go pretty much nearly go under for various financial reasons, and then was kept going. So it's back now. It's a much smaller programme than what we've seen before, but still has that international appeal. Have you ever been over for the festival?
No, I'd love to though, because it seems to be, it's one of those festivals that's sort of, I don't know if it's relaxed, but I don't know if it's because it's more, the Scottish hospitality, where it's like, people are more open to conversations rather than it just being like press junket.
Well, I do love an old press junket, because I think I've become too old now, and this year, just with the way it worked out, it was mostly kind of the press lines, they call it, which are kind of a junketed red carpet of sorts. I got to attend a few of those. I'll play some audio from that in a minute, but I just thought I would mention some of the films that I saw. I've just got in front of here now. I've picked my top three. So we have Case 137, Dominic Mall's feature. It was screening out of competition. And I don't know, are you a big fan of procedural dramas, that kind of films that are talking about kind of procedures? Not medical, but not. So here we have a film, it's set in Paris, and there's a team, it's kind of Line of Duty-esque. We have a team that is set up to expose police wrongdoing, and there's a riot in one of this in Paris. Someone gets injured. They claim they were not a protester and that they were unlawfully assaulted by police officers, and you have this team going out to discover what happens. And I really enjoyed it in that sense. It's like it's not all this, that, and it's not all whistles. It's just kind of people doing their job, hunting down, looking for looking for footage, looking for witnesses, trying to find out what happened, and then ultimately, without going into too much of a spoiler, how the system, Adam, works against them when they try to uncover the truth. Really good. It's some of these I would not be surprised if they popped up at Belfast's festival in November. Really good one to look out for. Another one that caught my attention was it's called Hysteria kind of movie. Another German feature, this time based on that kind of film about filmmaking, which I know some people will like and some people won't like. But in this sense, kind of Michael Haneke-esque, Cachet. Reminded me a lot of Cachet in that sense. So we have a director is making a film about a famous arson attack in Germany on a group of migrants. Making a film about a fatal arson attack on a group of migrants at a house in Germany. During the filming, a burnt copy of the Quran is discovered on set, and that kind of launches into who burnt it, why was it burnt, the reaction, and really interesting. Kind of ends in a very frantic way. Some sequences that are very creepy because you're watching footage. Someone sets up their webcam to record footage. You're watching that, and it's the idea of you get a late night text from someone. Are they the person that you think they are? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. And my final of my three is latest Irvine Welsh documentary, Reality Is Not Enough. There's been a couple of documentaries about the author of Trainspotting. Previous ones I have liked but haven't loved, because they have tried to talk about how other people have been influenced by his work, and generally been talking a little bit about, it's been like, this is the author, this is where he came from, he wrote Trainspotting. They've been very Trainspotting specific, and I get that, it's his breakthrough novel. Here we have a documentary that's looking much more about him and kind of his process. Although I will play shortly a little clip where I asked him that question. It's like, you've made a few documentaries, how do you think about your process? To which he kind of just gives me an answer, no. Just kind of, no, I don't think about my process. But I really enjoy it. It's an hour and a half. I would not be surprised to see that film. I've seen, I think, a total of about 8 films. Those are a few that just in front of me I saw. But I will very quickly now play a little bit of a medley of some of the interviews that I did. So in this, you'll hear me talking to director and cast and crew, including Eddie Marsan of All the Devils Are Here. And you'll also hear a little bit of my chat on the red carpet with Irvine Welsh and the director of Reality Is Not Enough. Can I start? Can you tell me a little bit about the film?
Well, it's interesting. It's like, people ask me that a lot, and I say it's a gangster film. But it's got a lot more depth and feeling, a little bit more.
It starts as a gangster film. I've seen the film. It starts and then unravels into something slightly more mysterious. Yeah. So I'm intrigued in kind of how you wanted to play with that genre.
Well, it's actually what I wanted to play with more about is about emotion and about like the how these guys in this situation and how their emotions more unfold in that. Rather than, it's like when I say it's a gangster film, it's like people will go, oh, it's a gangster film, okay, great. And I kind of let the questions moved on because everyone knows what that is. But I think what I want people, after they've watched it, to come away about is, yes, it does go in different direction, as you said, and it definitely goes in other directions. But what I do feel, it's got a little bit, I'm trying to get the soul of these guys too.
Yeah, you've gathered together an impressive ensemble. And I know one of your cast members is standing beside you, but I mean, talk us through the challenge of getting that cast together for this film.
Oh, I just had to get who's going really. No, honestly, I was very, very extremely lucky, and they worked their socks off, and it was a pleasure. And I've worked with a lot of actors before and stuff like that, but nothing on like this kind of scale. But it was them who pulled me through, and it was beautiful to work with them.
So your director said such lovely things about you. So what was your director like to work with on set?
Was that you?
Yeah.
No, it was effortless. It was one of those things where you get a script that's so tight and so succinct and clear that actually it was one of those jobs where you can't wait for it to start. Also, the cast involved, you always want to work with good actors, and if it's an ensemble like Barney put together, then it was a real pleasure from day one. We also worked a lot in the studio, didn't we? And the rooms and the place where the boys end up was all meticulously designed and created, so it really was like coming into a world that was very easy to work in.
Just watching you there off to the side, you all seem to get on. Was that camaraderie, that kind of atmosphere similar on the set?
Yeah, either is or it isn't. You either get on with the people or you don't. But the good thing about all these actors is they're very much into their work, but hold it quite lightly. And so there was no kind of pretension. We just got on with it, and that's always a bit of a relief, to be honest.
And my last question: your character's got some questionable music choices. Without going into too much, any of those kind of tunes that you'd be throwing on, or in that kind of situation, what are the kind of music you'd be listening to?
Yeah, I know. I think he's got a great music taste. Yeah, no, but understood. Yeah, obviously with a film, there's always issues with rights and things like that. So, although I'm not exactly sure about the final music choices, I'm a music head myself, so I'm always interested to what what the music adds to the film, and looking forward to the choices. Yeah.
It's the music choices. It was one of the. It was a beautiful decision at one of those magical moments that ended. That kind of like came together in the end, really.
There's loads I would love to talk to, but I know there's other people here. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the festival. Gentlemen, let me start just by asking you, tell us a little bit about your characters, and as much as you want people to know about the role they play, because this is a film that starts as a heist gone wrong gangster movie, but evolves into something else.
Well, I play Ronnie Blake. He's a man who's come out of prison, and he has to do one more job for Mr. Reynolds, so he agrees to do it reluctantly, and it goes a bit wrong. And that's really the beginning premise of the film, and then it takes weird turns from then on.
And I'm playing Royce. At the beginning of the film, he's at a place of quite desperation in his life, and he has multiple options available to him, but I think it's seeming like he's going to want to take maybe the least wise option for his own safety. Basically, he's dealing with a lot of inner conflict, and he's at a crossroads where you can make a good decision or a bad decision or anything in between those decisions. And I'm not sure he knows exactly what he wants yet, but he's following what he feels like he should do.
You're the baby of the group
Yeah.
in front of the camera, and then I guess within the cast as well. Was that something you were aware of? What was that like? Because looking at you here this afternoon, seems to be a great rapport between the group, both actors and director.
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't feel, for me being the youngest specifically, it didn't actually feel like I was a baby among adults or anything like that. I mean, I've grown up, my family's I'm quite young compared to everybody else in my family anyway. So being around the guys was nice. Obviously, I was the least experienced person, which was great to feel like you're like bottom of the class or student who needs to learn the most and everything like that. And all of these guys around me were being so generous and welcoming and warm towards me anyway. So it was just like finding my feet just out of drama school and new experiences, and they all like took care of me.
Can I just say, for a young actor to come into something like this, the go-to place is bravado and ego and trying to be the big I am. And what's wonderful about Tienne's performance is you see his openness and his confusion. He brought his apprehension about it being his first job, and he used that to and funneled it through his character. So you see this wonderful performance of a young man who's trying to work out the way the land lies, and that's really that's a really generous young actor, because what you're doing is you're taking your fear and you're using it. You're being honest about it. Acting's about giving a testimony about yourself, about your own human condition, and so all praise to him, because that's what he did.
Fantastic. I want to ask you one last question, Eddie, because I know there's a lot going on. You, as an actor now, do you think of yourself as someone, you attach yourself to these projects, and you do have an impressive ensemble here, but the likes of yourself, you can give that star power to films, because people will be familiar with the likes of yourself from the big screen, small screen, on these smaller projects. Yes, it's great to see the big budget blockbusters, but films like this are the heart and soul of cinema. Do you think of at that time when you're working on these projects that being able to give, like, I think this is the director's feature debut?
Barnaby's
feature debut. Do you think of that in that sense, that what you can bring as, not just as an actor, but from your notoriety to the project?
No, I don't think of that. I sign on to it because it's something that I believe in. I believe in this film because I believe it's an accurate portrayal of gangsters, really. I think we glamorise gangsters too much in this country. I think it's an aspect of toxic masculinity. They did a lot of harm to people in my community, and I'm really sick and tired of middle-class people making films about them like they're Robin Hood. They weren't. They were horrible people. And what I loved about this movie was it went into that. It went into the idea that these gangsters are creating a hell for themselves of their own making. And so when I sign up for that, once I believe in something, I also believe that making a film is a collaborative art form. So then I join in with everyone else, and I just become part of the ensemble. I'm like a session musician, really, you know. And the writer's written great music, and the director's the conductor, and we play the notes. But I can't play the notes thinking this is an Eddie film or this is a Tienne film. We've got to be like the Wrecking Crew, you know what I mean? We've got to be there, and I've got to play the bass, he's got to play the trumpet, and we've got to make good music.
I was nearly tempted to go, you're playing the notes, but not necessarily in the right order. I was tempted to go for that, but I'll not. That's me showing my age. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy this evening. Thank you.
Very much.
You said when we embarked on this great adventure together that lots of laughter was essential in a relationship.
I always saw life as a big canvas that unfolds, and I don't think you should be limited to any one place.
Life is a dynamic rather than a static process.
When you're young, you feel that life is trying to confine you in some ways.
Increasingly, life seems fractured.
I like to challenge and annoy and disturb and irritate myself when I write.
I'm more of a warrior than you'll ever be.
You compromise more when you get older, and it's not always a good thing.
We are all connected to a greater force.
There's different realities contained within us all, and writing is a way of finding some of these different realities.
Gentlemen, Paul, I just want to start with yourself. Tell us a little bit about how this project, this documentary, became the latest project that you have now.
So Irvine and I were friends, and I was thinking about, a documentary that would, I suppose, explore another side of Irvine that isn't often seen, in the media or online. And I think the trick with it, because I read Irvine's work first of all, in 1996, just after I'd seen Trainspotting, and there's a huge responsibility when you work with a great writer to try and tell their story. But because we were friends and we had a relationship, it took the pressure off in that way. But I suppose the trick was, working out how to tell that story in an adventurous way. So we didn't use talking heads, tried to avoid anything that was, a standard documentary trope, really. But it came about really from wanting to, work together and tell a story about somebody who is hugely important in the culture while they're still here. I mean, I think I've made a couple of films about people that were no longer alive, and while somebody is here and can speak for themselves and tell you their story, it's a great time to get them.
Did that change your process, and the fact that you have not only a friend, but the fact that the subject matter is still here?
Definitely, yeah, because I didn't want to make something that was a hagiograph that was only sort of saying, how wonderful Irvine is. It was also something where, Irvine was very honest and open to talk about his demons, the things that drive him, and to talk about, very early on in talking, he spoke about how, you don't learn from success, but you learn from failure. And I think we were fortunate in one of the interviews in the film with an Irish podcaster called Michael Anthony. We arrived at this interview really late because, we'd been filming in the pub, and we'd kind of, while we were filming in the pub, we weren't drinking Guinness Zero because it didn't exist at the time. And by the time we got to the podcast interview, I think, we were a bit inebriated, and Michael was very upset, as he should be, and he's a great guy, Michael. I'm very grateful to him. But it made the interview a lot more combative, and it was kind of like watching a boxing match. And the things that Michael asked of Irvine in that interview really opened up another level of the film in terms of confession that were useful as a storyteller.
Irvine, can I ask you, I interviewed you 2 years ago. There was another documentary. This seems much more personal about you. Did you find that, in terms of working with someone that you know, and also working with a creative, and you're creative, there's a part in the documentary where you talk you don't like to define, you don't like to kind of pigeonhole yourself in your process. But during the making of this documentary and other documentaries, have you found yourself now reflecting upon your process as a writer? I know you're probably just saying no.
Yeah, I mean, I will say no, but I tend to be the guy who lets everything filter into the subconscious, and I don't really think too much about something at the time. It's like I kind of trust the subconscious to throw up the goods as and when, so I don't force anything. I mean, I know a lot of writers who have the moleskin in their pocket, basically, and anything they see and any observation, they'll write about the blue sky and the sort of cross on the church roof and the green stuff, and the red bus coming through. I'm not that kind of guy. I trust that these images are going to be regurgitated in some form or other in my subconscious. So I think no, but it's not a disingenuous no. I know it will come up later on. I know it will sort of percolate.
And just one last question. I know you've touched on this already down the line, but the memory wall, in a sense, is the best way of putting it. That experience for you, just if I could ask you, what are your memories of that? Was that a few days? Was that one day of shooting? And those memories of seeing those images projected on that screen?
I think it was about 1.5 days, was it?
One
day, yeah, right. But I found that the most emotional part of it. I think that there was, it's like I think that when you saw kind of images of Muirhouse and the fort and all that, and in conjunction with playing football with Colin and Dougie, I think that was quite an emotional pull for me.
It was lovely. And I know I pushed it. Paul, can I just ask, where did the idea for the DMT trip come? That kind of frames the narrative of this documentary. Where did the idea for that come?
We were working with a production team in Toronto, and Charlie, who was the kind of line producer over there, was making a documentary about hallucinogenic drugs, and my little ears picked up, and I thought, I know somebody who likes hallucinogenic drugs. And so I said to Evan, how do you fancy taking DMT legally at this drug rehabilitation centre? And he was, he wasn't hesitant. And at that point, I was like, well, we've got a bit of a inciting incident here that we can use as a device. So all, credit to Charlie for having that other film in parallel, and Irvine for being a good sport.
Yeah. And our other pal, hallucinogenic drug, was making a film about Charlie.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Enjoy this evening. So that's a little show reel of some of the interviews I did at the Edinburgh International Film Festival. Next week we'll play a little bit more, including a slightly longer interview I did with the cast and crew of Mortician, which won the Best Feature Award. I think it's the Sean Connery Award for filmmaking. Very intriguing feature that I saw when I was there. Slow burning feature set in Canada that kind of deals with a country's ability to oppress its citizens beyond its borders. Most interestingly for me, though, is the fact that it was shot entirely with a smartphone. Very limited resources. The director, when I sat down to do the Q&A, I sat down to do the junket with him, I had prepared for 2 people, but 4 people appeared for the interview, which made it kind of like, I've got to think on my spot, what am I going to do with the audio? So that's why I'm giving it another week, because I want to just check my audio to see what I can do with this. But he kind of came over and he didn't speak any English, so anything he was taught was translated by one of his actors in the feature. And she came over to me and he talked very briefly and was looking at my kit, and I went, oh, he's a director, he's judging me, I'm doing something horribly wrong. Or it's like, what's he judging me for? And she's like, your equipment you have with you is more advanced than what we used on this set. And you're like, on the making of this film, it's like, oh, okay. And you're able to do that. And I'm just about to be able to interview 4 people.
Weirdly, you were using 2 soup cans and a string.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. But yes, we will play that next week. Mortician, as I say, it won the award for, I think it's the Sean Connery Award for filmmaking. And I also spoke to a few more people as well. And maybe next week we'll expand that a little bit more. But the last film, Adam, I saw at the Edinburgh Festival was Toxic Avenger. Now, are you a big fan of the Troma original 1984-85? Are you a big fan of it?
Sort of. I'm a big Troma guy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the original Toxic Avenger is some sort of masterpiece, but I appreciate what Troma does with their movies up until a certain point when it basically becomes porn. But 80s movies that what do you call it, Class of Nukem High, all those sort of movies sort of hold a special place in my heart. And when they announced this new Toxic Avenger, I was sort of like, a big budget Toxic Avenger isn't really gonna work. But from what I've seen and from what I've heard, maybe it does.
Well, I will review it, but I think first we will play a little clip.
I'm a monster.
You're not a monster. Show him your good heart.
Hey, buddy, I'm your dad.
What the?
I wasn't even involved. But sometimes, you gotta do something.
Who the fuck are you?
Just some dude with a mouth!
I'm screaming the pain, holding hands at the dawn.
How does it feel to be a hero?
A simple melody.
Do you realize what's at stake here?
Everything!
Find him, bring him here.
There you are. Only the good things in life, that's all that matters.
That was just self-defense. You haven't killed anyone else, have you?
So that's a clip of the Toxic Avenger on cut. Adam, on cut. So this has been a film that has been it's shot and done and in the can a couple of years. I think 2-3 years ago this was filmed, and then of various reasons why it's been delayed. Finally hitting screens now. It's screened at the Edinburgh Festival, where it got its UK premiere, but I guess where its core audience will be, it also played at Fright Fest as well. And I know that the Fright Club guys, I don't think they have their review up just yet, but I know a member of the team was over for Fright Fest and covered it. So this is Mason Blair, who we will probably know from the likes of Blue Ruin. Jeremy Saulnier, if I'm getting that right, apologies if I'm not. Frequent collaborator. I think this is, I could be wrong, this could be his directorial debut.
I think so.
I could be wrong in this. So you have a surprising amount of what I guess you would consider A-list talent involved in a schlocky remake of an even schlockier cult classic B movie. So you've got the likes of Kevin Bacon, who's having a ball in this as the kind of crooked businessman. We have Mr. Frodo himself. We've got Elijah Wood in there. We know that he likes to kind of do the kind of schlockier stuff. He's someone that is clearly a fan over the years of horror. But also this time we've already mentioned him this week. We have Jacob Tremblay in there. We have, most importantly, Peter Dinklage as Toxie, our Avenger, this time round. I haven't seen the original in quite a while. I know QFT have screened or are going to be screening it shortly. I'm tempted to go to that. I was never a massive, like Toxic Avenger was a movie for me I kind of watched once and then never really. I've always been I appreciate Troma and what they do in that sense of like the Terrifier series. They are able to sell their films to get a decent return off them. I'm more of a Roger Corman kind of camp on that. That's just me. I've more love for what Roger Corman did, but there is a charm, a schlocky, gory charm in the Troma stuff, and that this big budget remake, if you can call it a big, I guess it's a big budget remake for a Troma movie. I thought it was fine. It's funny. It's slick. It goes through its thing. It's got its icky moments. I think some of the sequences in it, they're a little bit too, like, you kind of want stuff to be done practically. You get a sense of stuff has been done with CGI. But yeah, it's, if you're going there, if you want to see the Toxic Avenger wielding his toxic mop, you're going to get exactly what you want. It is a movie that is fine, has been machine tooled to be that love letter to the kind of midnight B-movie schlockfest that people want. And if that's your thing, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. I thought it was fine. For me, it's the likes of the performances of Kevin Bacon. I actually quite liked Peter Dinklage in the role, much more so. I forget who's the actor in the original Toxic Avenger?
Bryan Cranston.
Marlon Brando, actually.
Yeah.
So I get it wrong. Marlon Brando. But in that sense of, there's more heart in his performance. He is a stepdad who's trying to look after his stepson, I'm not quite sure, because I'm not quite sure if Jacob Tremblay's they're playing as non-binary. I'm not 100% certain. But I will say this, I laughed a lot. It's funny. I saw it with an audience that lapped it up, and I found it funny. The gory stuff is there. The fact that it's kind of, some of it I think is clearly done practically. Some of it I think is done with CGI. It's fine. But yeah, I think if you're the person that's waiting for a new Toxic Avenger movie, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. As someone who, it's like, first one's fine. This is definitely, I think I heard Mark Kermode say this is definitely the best Toxic Avenger movie I've ever seen. And I've only seen 2. I know there's about 3 or 4. I think there's a couple of sequels to the original, because, God bless Troma, if they find something that might make money, they will try to bleed that dry. But yeah, a lot of fun. Schlocky, I don't know how many times I can say schlocky in a review. But again, coming back to a point I made about a film we were mentioning earlier, it's a Ron Seal movie. You know exactly what you're going to get on the tin. And I kind of want to see what Mason Blair does next. I love him as an actor. And I mean, I love Blue Ruin. I adore Blue Ruin. I think was that Jeremy Saulnier's directorial debut, feature debut?
Maybe.
I think it was. Then he followed that up with Green Room, with an equally terrifying performance from Patrick Stewart. But yeah, if you're looking for something to get your gore fix, your schlock fix, Toxic Avenger, yeah, fine.
His first movie, of course, was the classic Murder Party.
Oh, I remember it well.
A movie that, have you ever seen it?
No.
No, it was a movie that was constantly advertised in the back of Empire magazine, like in 2007, 8.
Okay.
You will remember the cover. It's a guy like wearing like a cardboard outfit with 2 chainsaws.
Oh yeah, I think it's ringing a bell, Adam. You've seen it?
I have.
Are you a fan?
Nope. It's no Blue Ruin, I'll tell you that.
No Blue Ruin and no Green Room. And then then he kind of, Jeremy Saulnier, he had a film out recently, didn't he?
Yeah, was it the Netflix Rebel Ridge? Is that what that was called?
I think there's been one since. This has turned into a very informed movie review pod. But I think on that note, Adam, we will wrap up this week's pod. So thank you very much for your time, good sir.
Thank you, Jeb.
Thank you very much for listening. As always, this is the point where I shamelessly sell our wares. If you like this pod, don't forget to subscribe, drop us a message if you disagree or agree with anything that we've thought or any of our discussions we've had. If you've seen Alien Earth, if you've seen Peacemaker, if you've seen any of the movies that we mentioned, drop us a line, any of our socials. You can find back catalogues of this show on our YouTube channel, along with old episodes of the TV show. And now newer episodes will be on NVTV's YouTube page. And there's some big, exciting plans we can't quite talk about just yet with the TV show. Right now, at the minute, it's just going up on YouTube, but that will change. As we mentioned at the start, we have a quiz on Friday the 29th of August, later this week, because this episode drops on a Monday, as we start the fundraising campaign for this year's festival. And hopefully, maybe on the night or around that time, we will start to announce, because we're going to have to, because it's scary that it's September. And we're going to have to wake our Green Day up, and also waking up ourselves that it's time, that it's nearly Halloween, as if you didn't know if you hadn't been in the shops. So exactly. Yes. So on that note, we'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.
Hey.